Interesting, familiar points, Fringe. You probably know, yeah, I came from a Jewish family myself, Jewish moderates. Um, when I was very young, we belonged to a conservative synagogue, and eventually made the transition to Reform. Now, nobody in my family right now goes to services, even on the high holidays. We've become that relaxed. My brothers... Damn telephone. Solicitors always pick after work and after dinner to call you. Anyway, my brothers are all atheistic, agnostic, weak atheist, maybe. We're all there, even though we were brought up in a very moderate Jewish family. My parents would still consider themselves Jews, but your views are similar. Are similar to my views several years ago. Now that I look back, I think I would consider myself a deist at that time, using God as some sort of metaphor for the universe or some sort of spiritual something. I was at a point in my life where I was in a quest for self, trying to find myself, figure out what my self identity was. And the need for something spiritual was innate. I'm not sure if that was instilled from the culture, or if it's just something, if it's something physical in the brain. And moderate Judaism is very it's unlike moderate Christianity, I think, in that Judaism as a culture, not as a religion, but as a culture, stresses education, critical thinking, and in the religion, it's actually okay and encouraged to question the acts of God. You know, I think there's even Muipu actually mentioned there's a you can put God on trial after like natural disasters and stuff. There's a whole ritual. So, you know, questioning things is part of the culture. It's part of the religion, and then encouraged in the culture. And so it's my suspicion anyway that the moderate Jewish community in the United States has a large deist or agnostic population, and they stay in the Jewish culture because it's a good place to be. It's a warm, inviting, friendly culture that you know, stresses things that are good, that are helpful and not dogmatic. You know, things like education and charity, all that good, you know, the good stuff, without any of the, you know, nonsensical, like, taking Genesis literally, a 6,000-year-old, none of that. So being a moderate Jew, but, you know, rationally being like an agnostic is really easy to do, and I did it for several years. I think my stepping out of the closet, my dissociating myself from Judaism, and declaring myself an atheist is more of a reaction to world events recently. I'm quite convinced that if a terrorist didn't fly commercial jetliners into buildings in New York, I would still be I would still be a moderate Jew at this point. I used to think like you in that, everybody's got their own beliefs, just let them be. I was very content, and I would be very content to just let everybody be, everybody's personal beliefs or everybody's personal beliefs. You have your beliefs over there, I'll have my beliefs over here, and we can get along. The problem is, people don't get along. They look for stuff to justify their hatred for each other. And as long as there's a good reason, and in any way, in the past century, nationalism was really used as the weapon, as the tool for dividing people. But before that, for several hundred years, it was religion, and it's turning into religion again. I gotta make this short. I'm being summoned to dinner, which is good. I'm hungry. So anyway, there's nothing really wrong with, I'm not gonna criticize you for being where you are mentally. I was there. I know where you're coming from. You've got this sort of deist philosophy, and you're calling yourself a Jew. That's fine. I've been there. I know. I was very happy there, and I was willing to stay there. World events really pushed me over the edge. It wasn't a decision. There was never a decision that I made. I kind of fell into it. It was a gradual progression. I'm upset at how people can't get along, and they use any reason they can to fight. And I think that anything that can't be legitimately questioned, like things like nationalism, can be legitimately questioned, and we can see now it doesn't make much sense to be divided. Stuff like the Aryan race, that it doesn't make any logical sense to divide people on that basis. But when you're talking about somebody's religious beliefs, that better be able to be criticized and questioned, because people are using those to divide themselves and then, justify their hatred for each other. If we can ridicule religion to the point where everyone's like, you know what, you're right, that wasn't such a good idea, then that's one less excuse that people have to hate each other. So letting people just to have their beliefs, whatever they may be, is not a good way to go. It's not going to solve the problems, because the nice people who have the beliefs, having the moderate religion, paves the way for the people who actually take their book literally, like the fundamentalist Christians or Muslims or Jews. That I saw fundamentalist Jews in Israel having trying to get a gay parade banned or something, and they just sounded nuts. It doesn't matter. They're all the same. So if we can get rid of nonsensical things, then I think people will have no choice but ultimately come together. As long as you can point out to somebody that their notions are silly, or prove them wrong logically, then we'll be better off.